Councilwoman Joanne Ariola has been trying for well over a year to get the city to do something about the hordes of migrant kids of all ages sent into the subways around busy street corners to sell candy and food instead of going to school.
Their truancy is not being addressed. There's also the question of where are they getting these items to sell? When they're asked, they say someone comes from far away to give this to us. So they're also being exploited by people who are using them to sell their goods on the street.
Well, here's something that, oh boy, you know, they try to make it sound like one thing and it's another. We have a illegal migrant situation. I'm going to call it illegal. They try to say, well, it's migrant kids. No, it's illegal. They've come here illegally. Right now, you have thousands of them that have been brought into the system that are missing from the system, and they cannot, the agencies that are handling this, they're up in, we don't know where they're at. We don't know why. You just told them the situation. You just gave them to anybody willy-nilly without investigating them and saying, well, you know, they're in capable hands. Well, no, you've drove them back to the cartels, to the gangs, MS-13, the Venezuelan gangs, and many others throughout especially cities in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle. You know, this has been going on for quite some time. But this particular issue has been going on before the migrant crisis. And I've always said, be wary. You know, this is a story that, you know, one thing when I was a kid, we used to have these charity sales that we used to do. And if you were from my generation, and some of it's still going on today, to raise money for the school, we used to sell candy bars. And they used to give out cool, cheap gifts to the kids who sold the most. You know, when I grew up in Catholic school, we did this. And, you know, they used to sell for $1 back when I was a kid on there. I think it's $2 now on this situation. But what has happened in the years, and it started to happen somewhere around the mid-90s, mid to late 90s, is you saw kids on the street that were selling drinks, candy, and saying it's for schools, you know, chips and stuff like that. And it wasn't. It was there. From what we understand is that there were certain nefarious people out there, and we couldn't point it out really because nobody really did any investigation of the situation. They said, kids trying to make money, but where was the money going to? In most cases, you would think that it would be going to some sort of gang or cartel organization that these kids were being used. And the thing about it is, it's pretty much accurate to the situation because it's happening now very abundantly. Because there are children out there that are going up and down the New York City subway on the streets of New York selling candy. They're selling drinks and stuff like that. And you say, well, they're trying to make money for their family and stuff like that. And let me ask you a question. Where did they get the boxes of these candies and all this stuff to sell? You got to ask yourself that question on there. So we're going to read into this from the New York Post. The new NYC Task Force to push school on migrant kids selling food, drinks along the roadways. Now they want to take the kids in and put them in schools. Good luck with that. Really, good luck with that. Because these kids will as soon as you take these kids into the school, they're going to disappear. They're going to disappear and end up elsewhere. The city has launched a new push to convince migrant kids to go to school instead of dangerously selling food and drinks on the side of roadways. A multi-agency task force quietly formed 2 months ago consists of staffers from the Administration of Child Services, Department of Education, and the Mayor's Office to End Domestic and Gender-Based Violence. Will now pivot to roadside outreach after the New York Post revealed how many young migrant children, I would say illegal, were routinely peddling on the major thoroughfares in Southwest Queens. Notice they mentioned Queens. What else is in Queens? Yes, we have prostitution. We have stolen merchandise being sold on the streets of Roosevelt Avenue. We have passports, Social Security, driver's license, fake IDs being sold on those same streets. Should tell you what's going on. The task force is currently focusing efforts at city shelters trying to convince migrant parents to send their kids to school. I'm glad to see the cities finally addressing the issue. They're not addressing this properly. The issue, nearly 2 years of us talking about it, said Councilwoman Joan Arroyo from Queens. I hope that they don't waste any additional time. They will. Conducting unnecessary study and focus groups, they will, before the task force actually hit the streets and starts to make a difference. Remember, this is the same administration that went in to shut down prostitution on Roosevelt Avenue. Did they arrest anybody? No. They only closed the places down, but they didn't close all of them. And they reopened 48 hours later. Most of these places were up in operation 48 hours later. Not in the same exact location, but they're still there. We have videotape for it. There are many YouTubers out there on the ground showing this. And the thing about it is, some of it, like this particular video, where the NYPD is just right around the corner and the prostitution is still going on. This is not being held, the NYPD's hands are tied when it comes to this. They're not allowed to arrest these people. They say, well, we need to rescue these people. Well, arrest them and find out who is running this organization. If you go in and take out these places permanently, they're not going to come back up. And the way to do it is find out, are these people legal here? Most likely, no, they're not. If you take away their slaves, and I'm saying you take away their slaves, they're out of business. They're going to continue to try to put it in. This is where immigration law has to be enforced. Has to be. From the border on both ends, because we're hearing the Canadian border is beginning to have issues, to east and west on all of our ports, and including our airports. Take a moment, go online. There are documentary shows that shows you what a lot of these countries go through when it comes to illegal immigration via the ports, via the airlines. Because there are people sneaking in that way as well. There are people trying to come in and say, well, I'm here for a vacation. And you find out that they're here to get a job. And that's, that violates the law. You're not allowed to. Let's read on to this. City Hall spokesman Kyla Malmack said that the task force will prioritize children's well-being and potential exploitation. They don't prioritize. Their works include making sure school-aged children are enrolled in schools, parents know about safe after-work programs available to kids, and child care referrals. To the community-based organizations we partner with are made wherever possible, Malmack said. More than 185,000 migrants have arrived in the Big Apple since spring 2022, and the city is carrying only about 65,000. It's a lot less than that. The city has already spent $3.5 billion in dealing with the migrant crisis, and Mayor Eric Adams projects the tag price to soar over $12 billion by the end of fiscal 2025. That is correct, and maybe even more to that situation. But see, here's the thing they're not addressing, and I'll repeat myself onto this situation. These kids, they are working for the cartels. We need to go after the gangs. MS-13. We need to go after the Venezuelan gangs. We need to go after the Mexican gangs. The Chinese cartel gangs that are now infecting our country. Yes, that's right. The Chinese Communist Party is here and has been for quite some time now. We've had stories where they've had their own police force, secret police working in here to arrest, U.S. Chinese citizens, bring them back for trial back to China. This has been happening. There has been reports of this. Meanwhile, the people that are responsible for this, from the China end situation, they've been toted around New York by our own politicians. There have been video footage of it. There's been pictures of it. This has been happening. If we do not curb the situation like other countries have, whereas, you have places in Central America that have fought against MS-13, you're not going to have a hold on the situation. These children are being used. They came here owing money to the cartels. And this is how they're paying it back. This is what is going on. It has been going on for quite some time now. The first thing is, do not buy anything from these kids. Don't buy it, folks. I know you might say that I'm heartless to the situation. No, you don't know where this money is going to. This is going to trafficking. This is going to drug smuggling. This is what is happening. You say, well, you don't ever. No, it is known. This has been known by our intelligence communities for a long time now. They're allowing this to happen because of who's at the top. Understand that. There are those that push for this. This is control of your rights in this country. Understand that. Remember, New York City, the New York City Council is pushing again in the courts for having illegal migrants to vote in elections. That violates the Constitution. It violates the state constitution, and it violates the U.S. Constitution. You have to be a United States citizen to vote in elections in this country, from state to state to the presidential elections, governor, council. They're trying to increase their voter base because they know minorities in this country are sharing away from one party. They're seeing what is going on. They're questioning, and I always say this, question everything. Stay strong, question everything, understand. This is the fight that needs to be resolved in our country right now. It's not civil war to the situation. That's what they want to push. They want to push, for us to fight within each other. No, we need to be in that voters booth. We need to understand who we are voting for. We need law enforcement to do their jobs, to untie themselves. These laws that they push in for district attorneys that are just not abiding to the situation, bail reform and all that. Bail reform needs to go away. These district attorneys that are not doing their job, they need to be fired right now. We need ICE back in here in New York, arresting those that are not supposed to be here, especially the criminal element. Understand, most of the people that are coming here illegally are mostly men. But he said, but I see on the video, I see families coming up. Yeah, every time that there's a family coming across the media, and that's all across the media, they're going to show you this. But look what is on outside of these shelters. They're mostly men. So tell me in the comments below your thoughts about this. This is something that's very important. They're using children. And it's not only this particular thing. They're putting kids in factories and jobs that they should not be doing. There was a illegal migrant teenager that was killed inside some sort of grinding machine recently, within the last couple of months on there. These are things that they should not be working. They should be in school learning. That's one thing about all kids. They should be learning in school. But also, these kids are being used. They're being used. When you say human trafficking, this is the human trafficking victims. That all these agencies there are trying to shut down the internet and take out certain entertainment fields and stuff like that. They said, well, we got child traffickers and stuff like that, but they're not doing anything to them on the streets. They're not. So comment, like, share this video, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to catch all of our other videos here on QTCast TV and Man with the Show. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching, commenting, and sharing this video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe as this helps the reach of this channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help support this channel as new internet laws around the world will diminish our reach and affect our sponsors. If you choose to help, there are two ways listed in the description below. The first link will lead you to a pay site where you can make a monetary donation. The second will lead you to our gear shop where you can buy shirts, mugs, and other gear. Discounts will be listed on the site. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.